Kanesha from boldlivingtoday.com, and welcome to Wednesday Club. If you're new here, welcome. This is our weekly broadcast where we just get together and discuss various topics around productivity, creativity, and boldness. And if you've been checking in here on Facebook or on Instagram or on YouTube, welcome back. So today we have episode 18. Last week we did not have an episode, and I'll tell you why shortly. But before we get going, Wednesday Club is just about looking at your creativity, learning how to untangle from things that don't serve you, and then amplifying your boldness. So it's really around looking at every aspect of your life and then applying some of these tips and tools to help you shift some things or to do some minor upgrades that are going to cause a ripple, and that'll help you amplify your boldness and do what you need to do to live life on your own terms. So last week, or the week before last, January 8th, was episode 17, and we talked about how to make time for your goals when you're already so busy. And then last Wednesday, I was supposed to come on and do a broadcast around that external pushing and things like that, and talk about planners. But I got really busy because I had 2 events, and then I also had some out-of-town relatives. And so, you know what? I have to take a page out of my own coaching, and sometimes when your plate is so full, you have to practice the art of subtraction, which is what I had to do. And so I wasn't able to come on the broadcast, and I don't like to show up half-assed. So I'm here today, and so the show will be just a little bit fuller with the stuff I was going to talk about last week. I will talk about it this week and the new topic. So I had a couple of questions in regards to how to make time for your goals when you're already so busy. And then also after the vision board events, I have some questions. So I'll just do the questions first and then go into the topics I'm talking about. So one of the questions was, I love your tips about making your calendar work for you. And I sometimes just feel overwhelmed by putting everything on a calendar. Looking at it is scary. What should I do? So I hear a lot of my clients talk about, you have these lists, you have this information, and it's a lot to look at, and it's a lot to analyze, and it's a lot to digest. And I say it's really important that we categorize our to-do list, task list, goal list, whatever the case may be, into these doable lists where you can take a glance and see what's the most urgent, see what needs your attention right away, what can go later in the week, what can go later in the month, what can go later in the year, and what you can outsource. One of the things I really love for people to use is the Eisenhower matrix. It's really simple. You can just Google that, and I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's really 4 boxes, and it helps you categorize what's really important, what's really urgent, and what's kind of low level, and what can wait. And I think that's super important for people to get into the process of writing things down in an organized structure. I mean, a lot of us are so mobile and digitized, and a lot of times, hi Jamina, hello, good afternoon. A lot of us are so digitized that we're constantly just writing things down or taking pictures of it, and it's a lot of information that we then have to go back and digest on top of executing the action items, the tasks. So when we slow down and we write down and prioritize things in the process, it really helps our brains get to a place where we can focus and put our attention on the right things, and then ask for the right amount of help or the right amount of structure or support or time to be left alone to tend to those tasks. So I'm super encouraging of paper planner, super encouraging of journaling, or some combination of a paper planner and journaling, and just really taking the time to be very specific, concise, and getting your ideas down and what you think you might want to focus on and what you might want to do. So yeah, that really helps people carve out the right amount of time when they're busy, and then using your calendar to work for you is actually scheduling time on your calendar to work on those tasks, to work on those goals, to really focus on those things, because we say we're going to do it, but if you don't have a set amount of time set aside to focus on it, to work on it, to do it, when is that magically going to happen? When is that time going to magically appear for you? It won't. So you have to be very conscious and specific and bold about protecting that project, goal, visioning time that you have. Another question that came, I had a rough end to 2019, and I'm not quite ready to start focusing on goals and visioning for 2020, but then I feel like I'm going to be behind. How can I get over myself? So one thing I always talk about is, for some people, the end of the calendar year is like a hard stop mentally for them somehow. It's like, that's done, this new thing happens. For me personally, I just see it as a continuation of time. And it is a new and special space to, try things or to focus on different things, but I don't feel like there's a clear break in time other than I've had a vacation and then I'm getting back to work. One thing I always tell people at the vision board parties and vision board events is to look at January, if possible, as your rough draft month of the calendar year. That's time where you're still reflecting on the previous year. This time where you're thinking about certain goals, but you haven't solidified them or committed to them. And you're really trying to map out a blueprint for how you're going to approach the year and what you're going to do. So use January as kind of the brainstorming, the rough draft, the time to kind of get yourself together, settle any dust from the previous year, and really have the right energy, strong energy, focused energy, and not be depleted when you're starting to try to work on things for the new year. The other thing I always suggest, again, I'm going back to the paper planner. People do buy planners, but I encourage people to buy the planners that have the blank calendar dates where you have to write the month and you have to write the dates in yourself, because that means you can start that planner or use that planner anytime you are ready. So you're in the driver's seat of how you're going to make that calendar or that planner work for you. You don't have to feel like you're wasting pages in it, because when you decide to label that month in February and put the numbered dates there, or you want to start your planner in March, you totally can do that. You have the flexibility. And in the focus on what matters guided journal that I created, is completely blank that way. It provides a structure for you, but you get to start the planner wherever you want to start it, in whichever month you want to start it, at whatever date you want to start it. So don't be so concerned about that everything has to start on January 1st, and now it's the 22nd and you're behind. If this is the time you're going to start right now this week, then that's your start date. That's all that matters. So get a tool, a planner, a calendar that works for you and that is very customizable to your pace, to your goals, and how you work. So those are answering some of the questions. And then, of course, if you have any questions before tuning in, just type them in and I will try to answer those in real time. So yay, Jamina. Hey, Natasha. I'm going to see your cousin in a couple of weeks in DC. I'm excited about that. Okay, moving on for today's topic. So I wanted to talk about the 2 vision board parties that I had in January. One was on January 12th and the other one was on January 15th. Super fun, very different audiences, same type of goal setting, different format. And a lot of times I love to talk about visioning in the space of how do you map out how you want to feel for the year? And then when you know how you want to feel for the year, how does that play into your goals? Or if people use resolutions, that's a fine word too. Some people hate that word. If that's the word you like, it's a fine word. So think about how you want to feel for the calendar year and then see how your goals map into that and see where you need to make some revisions before you start a process of assigning action items and tasks to those goals. Because a lot of times, especially as adults, or sometimes our teens too, you think to be a productive and to be a productive person, to be someone who's getting things done, to be someone who is efficient with time or who's adulting, whatever, you feel like you're supposed to have this never-ending list of goals, and you're just supposed to work at all costs and get those goals done. And I completely disagree with that, because that's overwhelming. It doesn't sound fun. It's not sustainable. And it's just not the way to approach it if you really want to be successful in how you set your goals. So one of the things I always talk about in pursuing goals, and this goes into, thinking about how you want to feel, is that you have to really have a wellness plan attached to whatever goal setting you're going to do. And when I say a wellness plan, I'm talking about your physical wellness, I'm talking about your inner wellness, how you're connected with yourself, and then how that ripples into, interactions you have with people really close to you, people in your workplace, people in your community, or whatever the case is. But you really have to have a concrete, specific, and really strongly in place wellness plan. And the thing is, it's really challenging to try something new, try something harder, work outside your comfort zone if you don't have any space to refuel, if you don't have any space to have a soft place to land, if you don't have a break from your hustle, from your grind, from going from it. Because a lot of times, the new year starts, people have these big goals and resolutions, they're excited, they put a vision board together, they start working in their new journal or their planner, and they're really gung-ho. And 5 to 10 days after the new year has started, they're already exhausted. The decision-making fatigue sets in. There's so much external pushing going. There's never really any time to stop, pause, reflect, and take a little break and refuel. And this is why I'm also so intent and insistent on people taking time to have a reflective practice, whether that's writing in your journal or doing an audio journal or having one of those mindfulness apps like Calm or Headspace to really give yourself a moment to get back in the game and to check things out. So if you start to feel emotionally drained while you're in the middle of planning these goals or trying to get going, that's okay. That's very normal. That's very natural. You haven't messed up. You haven't messed up the time you have. You just need to take a pause and get your inner wellness back intact, and then you can proceed. So I have 4 things you should consider if you're already feeling overstretched, if you're already feeling emotionally drained, or if you're feeling like you can't continue in working on the goals that you started in 2019 or that you started in 2020. Here are 4 tips. So the first thing you need to do is reflect on your why. So why are you pursuing these goals? Why is this such a priority to you? Why did it make your top 5, top 3 list? Just reflect on your why. It doesn't have to be a long reflection. This is where journaling is good. This is where talking to your coach, talking to a mentor, talking to your BFF who will hold you accountable. This is where it's really good to reflect on your why, and then also reflect on your purpose. Because sometimes we set some goals because they feel good, they sound good, but when we really look at our life or the structure of our lives or this particular time in our lives, that goal might not be so important right now. It might be better for the second half of the year, or it might be better for the last quarter of the year, or maybe the middle of the year. And that's okay to reassess that and to look at your why and to reflect on your purpose. So that's the first step. You want to reflect on your why and reflect on your purpose. The second thing you want to do is examine your mindset. And that's really taking a pause and to think about, how am I talking to myself eternally? What stories am I telling myself? What narrative am I creating? Is it self-defeating? Or is it replenishing me? Is it talking down to myself, or is it giving myself bold pep talks? Is it making me feel like I need to compare myself and compete with other people? Or is it that I'm understanding my worth and value and I know where I fit into a particular space or a particular industry or wherever the project may be? A lot of times when we don't examine our mindsets, we cannot figure out why we feel stuck, while we are feeling undermotivated, while we're feeling like I just can't do it. I see all these other people around me and somehow they have it figured out and I don't. Nobody has it all figured out, but some of us with a very positive, very open, very bold mindset, we just figure out that we need to keep going and we don't have to continually go fast, but we just have to set our own pace. We have to get the right people around us. We have to create our bold entourages and examine our mindset constantly so we can reflect back to our why, reflect back to our purpose, and be focused on what's good for us in that goal setting and then pursuing those goals. So that was the second thing, examine your mindset. The third thing is scheduling time to refuel and then protecting that time. So a lot of times people talk about self-care, going for massages, getting facials and things like that. That's fine, but I'm talking about scheduling time to refuel, and that doesn't need to cost you any extra money, but that might be, having a half an hour to yourself to just sit or to lie down or to do deep breathing somewhere uninterrupted, no expectations of you, no one interrupting you. That could be 10 to 30 minutes. If you could get an hour of alone time to refuel, that's fantastic. But I know people in the bold community are doing amazing things and they're busy people. So just having that time to reflect, to be quiet, to do nothing super important. Schedule it on your calendar. It's non-negotiable. Don't move it for something. It's important. Protect that time. Getting ourselves outside in nature, I know in some parts of the country and all over the world it's super winter, not just winter, but super winter. That's okay. Maybe you're only outside for 5 minutes. Maybe you've created a collage or something, an electronic collage where you can look at nature and have a break. Nature can be very healing and very motivational, but having that time and that space to connect with nature in a way that's comfortable to you is a really good way to help you refuel and to protect your mental energy. Another thing that's important is moving our bodies, some type of exercise. I've really gotten into doing streaming videos in my living room because sometimes I'll be between clients and my day is really chopped up before I have to go into my mom duties. So being able to do a 20 to 30-minute workout when I don't have the time to do my nice long hikes, which I really love to do. I live in California, so I can be outside almost every day. But when I don't have time to do that, that doesn't mean I have to forego having my time to refuel. A lot of you know that I keep my hula hoop in my office. So, I set a timer. I work for 45 minutes. When I have something really focused and intent I need to get done. And then when that timer goes off, take a break. I do some stretches. I work with my hula hoop. I'm getting ready for a big presentation tomorrow at a local library that's dealing with scholarships. And I was a little bit to the moment on working on that presentation, but I didn't get you down on myself. I just made sure I had enough breaks and enough focused time. And, I got it done without feeling bad about, I should have had this done a week ago. I did not have it done a week ago, but that's okay because I have examined my mindset. It did not make me feel guilty about it. So make sure that you are scheduling time to rest and refuel. That was tip number 3. And then the fourth one is talk to a trusted supporter. If you feel like, I really can't get into 2020 yet, or I'm feeling too tense about doing things, or I feel overwhelmed already, or I feel like time is moving too quickly, talk to somebody about that. They might be feeling the same way, or they might have some information that might give you a little bit of support, or they might just be that listener. You might just need someone to listen to you, get that information out, and then get back to your business of being bold. So don't feel like you have to hide the fact that, you haven't been so gung-ho about working in January or setting your vision in January or doing your goal setting. It takes time. And it's really important that you be focused on how your timeline works instead of trying to work on somebody else's timeline. A lot of times we have these demands and deadlines that are not within our control. That also takes energy. So when you have the space and when you have the power to set your own pace, take that. Use that time, work for you. And remember, January can be your rough draft month. You do not have to over push yourself. We have 366 days this year. Well, minus 22, but still, we have that time, and it's still early on. So don't feel like you're behind or that you've wasted time or that you're not doing as well as other people. We are all on our own different paths. So the 4 things to remember, and I'll just repeat them. The first one was reflect on your why, reflect on your purpose. The second one, examine your mindset. The third one, schedule time, refuel, and protect that time. And the fourth thing was to talk with a trusted supporter. So let me know how you're doing. Let me know how you're feeling. I will keep talking about some productivity strategies and some goal setting strategies from now through February, because like I said, I feel like January is the rough draft month, and February is the time when people really start getting busy. And that's also the time when I really start talking about the power of pleasure, which is super important when we are working hard on goals or we are trying to pace ourselves and having the right productivity based on our productivity profiles. We have to have the power of understanding how we work, and we have to have the pleasure of supporting ourselves on our own time, on our own terms, and really understanding how we benefit from being who we are. So those are going to be some things coming forward. And as always, if you have questions or if you have some suggestions for other topics for Wednesday Club, you can always contact me via boldlivingtoday.com. There's a contact form there. And if you're a subscriber on our newsletter, there is a survey that always goes along with the recaps of the Wednesday Clubs. And on Facebook and YouTube, you can always access all of the episodes. And then on Instagram Live, it stays available for 24 hours. So those are some ways you can connect. And I'm also on Instagram at Kanesha Baynard, Twitter at Kanesha Baynard, and then Facebook at Kanesha Baynard Coaching. I will be posting some additional information about the vision board events that we just had. Super fun. One was at a spa where we did vision boards, and the women also received mini facials. I cannot tell you how many women said, you know, I need to make more time, one, to pamper myself, but two, to connect it with pursuing my goals. They don't have to be separate things. I can figure out how to make this hybrid experience so that I don't dread working on my goals or dread doing the work. So it was really my pleasure to create this luxurious experience, to work with a woman business owner who owned the spa, to work with another woman in business who is a facial specialist, and to also work with another health and wellness coach at the event who provided the snacks for the evening and talked to us about upgrading different areas of our diets and how to really take good care of yourself during the hormonal changes. So it was a really all-encompassing event of, you know, going to the spa, working with me as a coach and productivity specialist, working with a health and wellness coach, and also working with a super amazing statistician. Is that the right way to pronounce that word? I always get it mixed up. But you know, the facialist. She was amazing. And everybody left feeling pumped up. And then the next day they woke up like, I think I can do the damn thing because I've had time to refuel and talk about my goals. So that was really fabulous to have that event for women. And then the other event I had at a craft studio, a make and take studio. I'm a huge craftaholic. So anytime I can add an extra layer of creativity or crafting to my coaching, I mean, it's the best thing ever. It's the best gig to be able to go teach a concept, coach people, and then have them make something and have a takeaway to remind them of the time we had together, to remind them of the commitments they made to themselves and their goals. And so that craft studio also owned by another woman. So I am really hitting my own mark of really supporting other small businesses owned by women. It gives me great joy to do that. And so we worked on creating these boxes. They're called explosion boxes or cascading boxes or waterfall boxes. Those are the terms that you can see if you look for it on Pinterest or Google it. And, you know, I love crafting in that format because it's like a beautiful surprise greeting card. But then I just leveled it up. And then we talked about goal setting. And we had the 4 quadrants where you could think about your top goals and then how to map that in. And as you work on those goals, you add different artifacts to the box. So it was really cool. And my daughter and my mother-in-law got to go to the event with me, and they had a really, really good time. Anytime I can take my family to work with me and they can participate or help me or see what I do and benefit is really exciting for me. So that was really great to have them there. So I plan to be back at that studio sometime in the spring teaching a workshop. I am still working with the owner now to come up with scheduling because I have a bunch of travel between now and then. So I have to make my schedule work for me. And yeah, so those are some of the things with the vision board. So I'll have more pictures in my stories on Instagram and Facebook, and then also within the feed of Facebook and Instagram if you want to check it out. My daughter did all the photography, so I'm super proud of her. So thanks, everybody. I will see you next week. I forgot to write down what the topic is next week, but let me pull it up really quickly because I have it here. So next week, which is January 29th, we're going to be talking about preparing for February, and I'm going to talk about a reflective process that you can use, and then also a set of questions, a specific set of questions that you can use to nourish you during February and as you go forward. And it's going to be our leap month, and it's also my birthday month. So a lot of good things happening in February. So thank you, everybody. I will see you next week. I will try to be on time. That's all I can say about that. I will try to be here right at noon, but sometimes it's like 12:15, 12:20, doing the best I can. But I'm so grateful that you all tuned in. So thank you, and hopefully to see you next week. All right, everybody, take care.